Hello. Just hopping on. Tell me who you are, where you're from. Hello, hello. Oh, my glasses are dirty. Hello. There goes my nose every time I hop on a live. I don't know if I made them worse or better. I'm almost thinking I made them worse. Hello, hello. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Is it Burn the Plow? What's your name and where you're from? Hello? Want to talk to me? Trying to get my glasses clean. So if you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. I'm Renee and I'm from California. I'm so used to saying South Dakota. That has now changed. I gotta move my tripod just a little bit. Here we go. So if you're just hopping on, joining me tonight, tell me who you are, where you're from. Hello, hello. Anybody? Anybody want to talk to me tonight? Hello? Hello, hello. Joe, North Carolina. I assume it's Joe from North Carolina. Welcome. Chrissy Clayton, thank you for the badge. I appreciate that. Oh, and the likes. Thank you for all the hearts. Yeah, you guys, just tap that screen. That really does help me. I appreciate it so much. Is it Sam from Texas? What part of Texas? Sam, welcome. Glad to have you here. I'm not in my normal environment. I have moved, so I'm trying to figure out what's best. So give me a sec. I'm gonna slide that over just a little bit. That way that light is not glaring behind me. Sorry about that. I'm used to my headboard and I don't have that anymore. So if you're just hopping on, tell us who you are, where you're from. Hello, hello. I am from California. I just moved here. I've been here a week and a half, I think. I just moved here from South Dakota. So yeah, my name is Renee and I used to saying South Dakota and I have to learn how to change that now. So welcome. Yeah, just gonna give it a few minutes. I'm running a little behind, and then I'll get started. So bear with me here. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Waiting to see if any of my moderators are gonna hop on, and then I will get started. It's kind of complicated. I'll just leave it at that. Culture shock. A little bit. I lived in Omaha when I was in my early 20s. Well, before I turned 20. So, yes and no. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Been to South Dakota, spent a few weeks in Rapid City. You liked it? Mudflap. Is it 110? Do you have a name and where you're from? Yes, that's where I moved from, was Rapid City. It's beautiful there for sure. It's nice there. I had spent off and on about 21 years there, about 4 years shy of 21 years, because my husband and I had moved to North Idaho for about 4 years and then moved back. David from East Tennessee, welcome. Chuckster from Cape Coral, not Canaveral. Can't talk tonight or read apparently. Cape Coral, Florida, welcome. Glad to have you here. Thank you for the repost. I appreciate that. Sorry guys, it's really warm in here. I guess I should have opened a window. I didn't think it was going to be this warm in here. So welcome. Okay guys, well, I'm going to get started. It's about 5 minutes in, so it looks like we're just going to plateau out. Cape Coral, Florida also. Well, welcome. Is it Michael? And thank you for the badge, Michael. Appreciate that. So my name is Renee and I'm now from California. I've got to get used to saying that. I'm used to saying South Dakota. I started my TikTok in March of 2024. I haven't done a live in a while, just a few here and there in the last 3 weeks because I was busy moving. And so I got to get back in the swing of things here. So I started my TikTok in March of 2024. The reason why I started my TikTok is because in September of 2023, for TikTok purposes, my husband unalived himself. We were together for 32 years since I was 16 years old. And I wasn't sure where I was going to go from there. My entire life of 32 years imploded. And I wasn't sure I was even going to stay on this planet. And when I decided to stay on this planet, I started to deep dive into meditation and journaling because I didn't know how to live without him. I'd never lived an adult life without my husband. And so everybody just kept telling me, put one foot in front of the other, Renee. And I'm like, I don't know how to do that. I can't breathe. I could literally not breathe. And so I deep dived into meditation and journaling. And it took me on a journey that I didn't expect, which is one of them is here. I discovered that I had abilities that I didn't realize that I had to talk to my spirit guides. And they slowly breadcrumb me to my purpose, which is to help other people through their loss and trauma. And to just uplift people. And so that's why I'm here. So they told me to get on social media, and I did. And I kind of dragged my feet for a little bit, and then I did. And so, yeah, so we talk a lot about just, our dreams and goals and loss and things like that. Tonight, we're actually talking about my guide is big for this. She usually picks a topic when I go live. And so tonight we're going to talk about how to inspire other people. And so, yeah, that's what we're going to talk about. North Idaho, like Lewiston. Actually, I was clear up north, by Sandpoint, about 20 minutes to the west of Sandpoint in a little town called Laclede. I lived on the mountain. My family moved there, about 30 some years ago, when I was a kid. And, so my husband and I lived up there for about 4 years and then moved back to Rapid City for work. And then long story short, my husband had gotten sick, had a couple strokes. I believe he had another stroke 2 days prior to him unaliving himself. And so, yeah, for the last 2 years, I've been on a healing journey of my own. And my guides are like, that's your purpose. And this is why I had to go through everything that I went through, so that way I could help other people through their loss. So if you're just hopping on, tell us who you are, where you're from. Thank you for that, Chuckster. I appreciate that, and the badge. I only have 2 rules here. I always just ask that you be kind. And the second one is we talk absolutely no politics. It's just not at all what my page is about. It's not against one side or the other. We just don't talk about that here. I'm just here to help people. And it doesn't matter if you're black, blue, brown, purple. I don't care who you are. I'm just here to help people and love people right where they are, and to help inspire people to live their full life. So I always like to say I am on my journey of life where I am, and you are on your journey of life where you are. And if you haven't figured it out by now, I can't talk ever. But we're all on separate journeys. And so we agree to disagree here. That is still possible, believe it or not. Susan, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. If you're just hopping on and you're not familiar, my name is Renee and I'm from California. Welcome. Is it Carol? Thank you for the likes. Yeah, guys, if you can just tap that screen, it really does help me a lot. And so tonight, like I said, we're going to talk about, my guide's always on a big kick that you should be your true self and do what you truly love to do. And so thank you for the badge also. So we talk a lot about dreams and goals and just uplifting others, right? That's what we should do. We're here to love other people and to, just help other people along their journey as we're along ours, right? My divorce destroyed my belief system. Now I'm like a detached monk attached to nothing. Well, I am really sorry. Mudflap, thank you for the badge. I'm really sorry to hear that. When my husband left, for the first time in my entire life, I was 48 years old, 49, almost 49 years old. And I understand, right? Like I said, most people don't understand. When he unalived himself, my world of 32 years completely crumbled. Everything I had worked 30 years for was just gone, right? By him making that one choice, and that's the thing. Hey, Faith Ann, is, he made a choice. I didn't have a choice. I didn't have a say in anything, right? But I was the one that had to stay here and pick up all the pieces by him making that choice, right? Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And so, it is hard. And when you've lived in that situation for so long, where do you go from here? And so that's my goal, is to help people through that, and not only help you through your loss. And loss doesn't have to be, somebody being unalive. I have to watch what I say. Sorry, they'll kick me off. Loss can be loss of a job, loss of a relationship, somebody unaliving themselves, somebody just whatever it may be, right? There's all kinds of loss. And so divorce is definitely a loss, and something that, sometimes it's hard to work through, right? Being detached is a relief. I would think you had a similar experience. In a lot of ways, yes, for sure. For me, I didn't have to consult anybody anymore, right? Because I was with my husband since I was 16 years old. Here's the thing. I didn't know who I was when I was 16. I had 4 babies by the time I was 23. And I didn't know who I was, and I didn't love myself. How can you love yourself if you don't know who you are, right? So I've spent the last 2 years on a journey of discovering, who am I really without him as a person? Oh, no, you're not. No, I appreciate that. You're not taking away from my grief at all. But that's the biggest thing, is when you lose somebody that you spend that time with, whether it be divorce or death. I hate saying that. That is the biggest thing, is learning who you are separate from those people, right? And like I said, for me, I didn't know who I was, right? And I didn't love myself, because how can you love yourself, like I said, if you don't know who you are? And so once you discover who you really are as a person and learn to love yourself, then everything changes, right? And then also for me, discovering that I had these other abilities. I discovered that I'm a psychic medium, and I have these abilities and I'm not pushing that on anybody. So if you're new here, we don't push that on anybody. That's just, this is my thing. Like I said, we agree to disagree here. But everything changed for me, literally. But the really big turning point for me in that grief or in that loss was discovering to change my perspective. And when I was able to just flip that perspective just a little bit and realize that things that are, we always say, why is this happening to me, right? And instead of looking at it as, why is this happening to me, and flip it to, why is this happening for me, right? Because generally, almost everything that happens to us or happens for us in life is a lesson, right? It's a lesson of some sort for us to learn something. And was it a hard lesson? It was a very hard lesson, but I learned that I was codependent on my husband. I learned that I wasn't who I truly was, because I was pretending to be who he wanted me to be. Right. And that's a tough pill for my kids to swallow, because, my kids expect me to be the mom and the person who I was 2 years ago. Right. And I'm not, because I've grown and I've discovered who I am and who I really want to be and who I love, myself. Right. So that's a struggle for sure. Albert Einstein said the universe works like a clock. I understand what he said now. Yep. And I believe that we go through chapters, or how my guides explained it to me. Give me one sec here. Oh, I was also who she was, who wanted me to be. Who was that? Didn't want to be. Okay. But what I discovered is, because when my husband unalived himself, his entire family abandoned me also. So my circle got really small, because then I discovered, who my true friends and families were, right? Seasons of life. Thank you, Jacqueline. I was just going to get to that. And that is so true. And I struggled for many, 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 many months of why they abandoned me, right? After being with my husband for 32 years. And what I discovered is that life is like a play, right? And in that play, many times people's parts are over and they exit stage right, right? And so when you put it in that perspective, is that their part in my play was over and they just exited stage right. And then it kind of just made it click for me. I don't know if that's making sense, but and so yeah, but for me, like I said, there was that relief of eventually being kind of free, right? I was a free person. And not just free as in single, but free as in free to make my own choices, free to, okay, well, if I want to live here, I can live here. And I don't have another person telling me, no, you can't live there. No, we're not going to live there or whatever. Or if I want to take a cruise, I can take a cruise. My husband's like, no, I'll never take a cruise. Right. You know what I'm saying? Just, and those things sound trivial and small, but in a way they're not. Because then you're not living out who you truly are, who you truly want to be, right? I'm not hearing you. I don't think I did understand what you said exactly, and I apologize. Let me read it again. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure that I am understanding. And I'll admit that. I apologize. If you're just hopping on, tell us who you are, where you're from. And one thing I didn't mention here is we are not shy here. So you guys are definitely welcome to pipe in anytime. Feel free to chat with me, and you're never interrupting me either because, my page is your page. This is what my page is about, is talking to people and helping people. And, if you're just lonely and you need a community to come, that's what my page is about. I'm turning Japanese. I think I'm turning Japanese. I really think so. Okay. See, to me, I just see riddles when you're posting. And so maybe that's why I'm not understanding. Like, to me, what you said to me was a riddle. So a riddle that I couldn't figure out. And I apologize. Okay. And I apologize too, because I don't always get all the comments. So sometimes some comments get taken out of context because I don't always get comments, even though I have all my filters off, and TikTok does still like to filter my comments. So sounds like lyrics to a song. Maybe, I'm not sure. So Michael, thank you for the badge. I appreciate that. So, but yeah, so if you guys are, you ever have a loss of any kind, or you're just having a bad day and you need a community to come, I'm going to be here. My new schedule since I moved is Monday through Thursday, and I'm here at 6:30 Pacific time, 7:30 Mountain, 8:30 Central, and 9:30 Eastern time. Everyone deals with grief different. No time limit. Oh, for sure not. And here's another thing that I want to point out with that. That kind of goes with that, because, my kids thought I should, I guess, just lay in my bed and cry for the first year, and still processing. And that's okay, right? It's okay. But I want people to know it's okay that you can move forward with your life. That doesn't mean you still aren't grieving that person, right? Or that you never loved that person. It's like this misconception with people that, you lost somebody and you must lay in the bed and grieve for a year or 6 months or whatever it is that other people think is appropriate. Well, first thing I'm going to tell you is welcome to Renee's page. And I believe in living outside of the box that the world tells us that we have to live in. And so I don't believe in time limits of anything, right? As far as when it comes to the grief, you're welcome to grieve. If you're over something in a month, you're over something in a month, you're the one that has to make that decision. You're the one that has to know what is right for you, right? You want to hear about my psychic abilities. The other dimension is real. Yes, it is very real. Very, very real. My psychic abilities aren't as strong as my medium abilities. I don't know if you guys know the difference. So psychic abilities is being able to kind of know, you don't really know when something's going to happen, although I do know when people are going to say things sometimes, not always. It's very random. It's not like we can flip a switch and be like, you know, sometimes it comes to us, sometimes it doesn't. I'm still learning with my psychic abilities. That's why I do mini reads now on Wednesdays, because my guides want me to practice that more, because I lean towards my mediumship, because I can hear, I guess you could say, unalived people. That gift just came a lot easier for me. And so they test me, and that's how they want me to do mini reads on Wednesdays. I do them live, which is hard enough, because actually if you have 40 people in the comments asking a question, all of their people on the other side are coming at me at the same time. And sometimes it's hard to go, hey, no, you just need to wait your turn, right? So if you would understand, if you're in my shoes, it's not always easy, and you don't just flip a switch, for sure. Doobie Brothers. Well, that's a cool song. Alexa. What about, on Alexa, is that where you're playing the Doobie Brothers? Don't turn my tripod over. All right, so back to it. It helps if you have music in the background. Oh, okay. Well, I don't have music. I'm very technologically challenged, you'll find. I barely can run my smartphone. So, yeah. Does anybody else have any other questions? Sorry, if you're just hopping on, tell us who you are, where you're from. Just a random thing. It's okay. Are you saying I should have some music on the background? Well, and now I'm in a new place, so I'm gotta figure that all out. But psych abilities, I have them. My husband didn't like it. And see, that's the thing is, the world has taught people that having those abilities is like you're a demon or you're a witch or it's satanic or all of that. That is all just brainwashing of the world. It's how you use it, right? I can play it from my phone and use my phone. I don't know. See, I'm very technologically challenged. My thing is that, a lot of people think tarot cards are bad, right? And I can show you a stack of tarot cards, right? It's just a deck of cards. I can put a stack of tarot cards and a spoon in the other hand, and they both can be bad, right? The spoon can make you fat, right? Make you unhealthy, maybe even take your life if you don't eat right? But you can have a deck of tarot cards. They're just a deck of cards. It's how you use them. Does that make sense? Same argument. And I always protect myself. I ask that I only usually, my thing is I invite in my angels, my guides, my ancestors, and now my husband. And only those of the highest light of source. I call it source because I've done a lot of rabbit holes and there's many gods. So which one are you referring to? I still believe in creator, just like everyone else. I usually just call it source. But the highest light of source, and I ask for protection from anything that isn't for my highest good or the highest light of source. Generally, if you're vibrating, if you know anything about vibration in the spirit world, if you're vibrating at a higher level anyway, you're not going to pick up those lower level entities anyway, because you're vibrating too high. And see, that's what most people don't understand. When our loved ones have crossed over, they are usually vibrating at a way higher vibration than we are. And so those people that have crossed over that are clear down here vibrating in they're in a whole different realm, you could say. And so it's a lot easier. You don't pick up on that. Does that make sense? Sorry, I think I missed a few people in the chat. But as far as your husband, I'm sorry to hear that, because I believe that my gifts, my abilities came from source, from creator. And I use them for good. Or at least I try, right? I try to help people. I put people's minds at ease that their loved ones are safe, they're okay. I bring messages to people to put their minds and their hearts at ease. So I believe they're good abilities. So if used properly, like a spoon or a deck of cards or whatever you use, right? Does anybody have anything else? I'm off my topic, but I always believe the topic goes where the topic is supposed to go. So, like I said, my page is your page. If you're just hopping on, tell us who you are, where you're from. I've just kind of been rattling on here. My name is Renee. I'm from California. Welcome if you're just hopping on. Does anybody else have anything else they want to say? Otherwise, I'm going to kind of just do the rundown of what my guide gave me for tonight. So tonight we're going to talk about how can we inspire others, right? Maybe through our words and our actions was 2 ways that I had gotten. Are we uplifting others or are we tearing them down? I believe that we should be the type of people that, we straighten other people's crowns, right? If somebody is doing better than us, then we should be happy for them that they're doing better, right? That doesn't mean, I don't think we should think negative about people. That's just my opinion. Like I said, my page, my opinion, we agree to disagree here. If you can't do that, just keep scrolling. Looks like I lost a lot of people at that. So it is what it is. If you're just hopping on, tell us who you are, where you're from. Are you on here, Jeff from Iowa? Have you been here before? It's not showing me all my little things like I usually get. That's why I was asking. So, are we uplifting others or are we tearing others down? You have. Did you tell me where in Iowa you were from? I think you did. I just don't remember, and I apologize. I just don't always remember. If you're just hopping on, tell us who you are, where you're from. Are we encouraging others, right? Are we encouraging others to be who they are and to live Quad Cities? That's right. And hi, Kelly from Pennsylvania. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Renee from California just moved here from South Dakota, so I'm getting used to saying that. Welcome. Tonight we're talking about how can we inspire others. And so one of the things my guides give me was, are we encouraging others, right? Are we encouraging other people to live their happy life, to live out their dreams, to, just live their best life, and encouraging others. Sometimes it just means, because maybe somebody's depressed or has anxiety and, just being like, hey, you know what? Life's okay, right? You're loved, right? A lot of my videos that I put out are just videos of, you're amazing. Has anybody told you today you're amazing? Just giving somebody a smile. I walked up to a Walmart the other day and there was a lady standing out front. I don't know if she was waiting for a ride. And I just said, you know what? You look absolutely gorgeous in that dress, right? Just giving somebody a simple compliment and uplifting them can be a huge inspiration to someone else, right? John Riley, thank you for the badge. I appreciate that. And the likes too. If you guys can tap the screen, that's always helpful. So by our actions, that was one of the things she gave us. Show genuine care, right? Do we care about our neighbors anymore? See, that's the thing is, we stopped caring about people. We're so into our phones and our technology and our own lives that we stopped caring about other people. Is it Odie? Did I say that right? Thank you for the badge. I appreciate that. And so, yeah, how can we show genuine care to other people, right? Maybe our neighbor's sick. Take our neighbor some soup, right? Maybe for me, after my husband unalived himself, I didn't have a car for a little over a year. And so, if somebody would have offered me a ride, I would have been so grateful, and I wouldn't have had to beg for rides from my kids. Jacqueline, thank you for the likes. I appreciate that. If you're just hopping on, tell us who you are, where you're from. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee and I'm from California. Welcome. Tonight we're talking about how can we inspire others, right? And so at the moment we're talking about how can we show genuine care, which is inspiring others. Because maybe if we show genuine care to someone else and then they show genuine care to somebody else, we're inspiring them, right, to show care for other people. You know, and in my opinion, you can't go wrong if you're caring for people and those people are caring for people and those people are caring for people. Then, right, we're just spreading it around, and to me that's just a good thing. Be a role model / lead by example, right? Maybe somebody sees you buy somebody's groceries at the grocery store and it inspires someone else to do the same, right? Or whatever it may be, right? Giving somebody a ride, picking somebody up when it's raining. You know, how can we inspire others? Offering support during a tough time. You know, I had a lot of people reach out when my husband unalived himself and, you know, said that if I needed anything to let them know. And then I contacted 2 of those people and then they kind of were like, why are you contacting me? Right? So, you know, there's many ways to inspire others and just to truly mean it though, when you say it, pay kindness forward. Exactly. So I think I lost almost everybody else. That's okay. I'm going to keep going. Make people feel seen, right? Sometimes people feel invisible. If you see somebody maybe that's just kind of standing in a corner and they look like they feel invisible, you know, walk up and, you know, give them a genuine compliment, you know. Sometimes that's all it takes, you know, or just smile at them or open the door for them, you know. Excuse me, we never know where somebody is in their journey of life, right? And so there was many days that, you know, I stood in line at Walmart or the grocery store or wherever it may be, the bank. And thank you for the likes. I appreciate that. And you know, if somebody would have said just the wrong thing to me, I would have crumbled, right? Right there in the bank, the grocery store, Walmart, whatever it may be, right? You never know where somebody is on their journey of life. And so it doesn't hurt to spread a little kindness or some love, you know, and just a genuine compliment or genuine smile. When I get up to a cashier and if a cashier doesn't say anything to me, I specifically go out of my way and I'll be like, hey, how are you today? How is your day going? You know, and when they give me my receipt, I'm like, you know what? I hope you have a great night. Have a great day. Right? You know, just that little bit can go, how far that little bit can go in life. Right. And like I said, who knows, you get them to smile, then maybe they'll get somebody else to smile later that day. Maybe you planted a seed with them. Right? So if you're just hopping on, tell us who you are, where you're from. Tonight we're talking about how to inspire others. And we're at let's see, ask about their lives and be genuinely interested, right? A lot of times, and I am 100% guilty of this. I'm doing better after the last 2 years of my healing journey and being on the phone, on my social media with people. But before that, you know, I would listen to respond, right? And so that's a hard one for me, is just being genuinely listening to them, not waiting there with a response, right? That's a tough one for me. I am definitely guilty of that. But like I said, I'm learning through my social media to just be present and, you know, and I try to be a genuine person anyway, but I always, like I said, I would listen to respond, and now I try to just listen. Let's see. Listen, like I said, listen when people speak. And that's important. Make people feel important when they speak. You know, my whole life, I was made to feel that no matter what I said was not important. And so I started to learn to just withdraw when I got around other people because, you know, I didn't feel what I had to say was important. You know, I was a stay-at-home mom for most of the 32 years before my husband unalived himself. And just didn't feel important. You know, when I would go to family functions, I felt ignored, like I didn't have a brain in my head and didn't have anything to contribute. So So I just stopped contributing, thinking I didn't have anything to share, when I really did. Okay, so help them meet and set their goals, right? I think that's important, right? With our kids, our family, our friends, if somebody has a goal, like, they want to learn how to play piano. And I don't know where that came from. It just came out of nowhere. But, whatever their goal is, what they want to do, maybe they would love to take up painting and they just don't have that confidence. And you're like, hey, and that. It's like, maybe you should really give painting a try and, see. And my philosophy is, what do you got to lose, right? Life is short, people. Life is so short. If you're just hopping on, tell us who you are, where you're from. Thank you for the likes. I appreciate you so much. Neither one of my mods got on tonight, which is weird because the one said for sure she was. But yeah, just, helping people, genuinely caring and helping people, right? Today I went to meditate at a park and to do my messages. And I had put 2 reels out already. And I sat down to get my third message. And as soon as I sat down at the picnic table, I was in the shelter because it was shady because it's warm here. And I sat down at the picnic table and there was a lady sitting at another picnic table. And my guide said to me, "You need to say hello to her." And I was like, what? And this isn't the first time. They tell me to do things like this all the time. And they're like, "You need to go say hello to her." And I was like, I do. Generally, because they have a message from somebody from the other side. That's generally where my brain goes. And so I questioned my guide, which I should have, but I did. I was like, really? No, I don't want to go say it. And they're like, "No, you need to go talk to that lady." And so I went over and I said, I know this is going to sound crazy, but I said, I'm able to talk to my spirit guides, and my guide said I needed to say hello to you. And when, we sat and talked for an hour. A very, very nice lady. First person I've really met here. And, I talked to her for an hour, and, hopefully maybe I planted a seed with her. She had told me about how her dad had unalived himself. And so we had something in common. And, so, it doesn't hurt. And she told me that she does have some anxiety, and we talked about that. And so, you never know when you can touch somebody. And, maybe, I don't know how she maybe have touched me, maybe tomorrow I'll be like, you just never know what's going to happen in life, right? I believe everybody is put in our path when they're meant to be put in our path for a reason. There's no coincidences in this life. And so, yeah, so I ended up talking to this lady for an hour. Okay, let's see. Help them clear obstacles, right? I know when my husband unalived himself, if you're just hopping on, tell us who you are, where you're from. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee. Welcome. Tonight we're talking about how to inspire others. So when my husband had unalived himself, all I seen was obstacles, right? My life of 32 years imploded. I'm like, okay, what am I going to do now? And, so through all these obstacles, I had people reaching out going, well, what if you try this? Or what if you do this? Or maybe if you do it this way, right? So people tried to help me clear my obstacles. And maybe an obstacle for you is maybe you have a goal in life, but, you're working through something and I don't know what it may be, right? Like I had this lady hop on one night and she's like, I want to be a social worker, but I can't afford to go get my master's. And I said, well, how can you help people think outside of the box, right? I'm a big outside the box person. And so I'm like, how can you think outside of the box and still help people, but kind of go into that line of social work, right? There's so many ways to sometimes get around those obstacles. Like me, I'm on here talking to people, right? And I don't have a degree at all, other than my guides tell me I just have knowledge from lots of past lives and this lifetime and to share with people. And so, just think outside the box and help others think outside the box too. Maybe they feel stuck and they don't know how to get unstuck somehow, but maybe you know how to get them unstuck because maybe you've had that problem, or maybe you haven't, but you still can help them get unstuck, whatever it may be, right? To get through their obstacle. So why do we inspire others? My guide said. So that's the next question. Why, right? For me, I think, like I said, because it's a trickle effect, right? Maybe you inspire somebody today and they inspire somebody tomorrow, and that person inspires somebody else the next day, right? And can't we use a world with more inspiration, more love, more smiles, more hugs, more whatever it may be, right? To help improve their happiness, confidence, and their success, while giving them hope and transforming their perspective in life, right? And that's my goal, is, to get on here and hopefully inspire somebody to, maybe set some goals. If you've never done that, set some goals to heal yourself, become the true person, your true person that you are supposed to be, who you're meant to be in this world, right? And like I said, just to inspire people to success, and success doesn't always mean big houses and lots of money. And, success, you can define your own success. Success can be whatever it is to you, right? For me, it's not about having a huge following on my social media. That is nice, because the more people that follow me, generally, then my message is getting out to more people. But my goal is, if I can help one person, then what my husband did wasn't done in vain. And, I can help one person. That's my goal, right? Inspiration encourages people to act, pursue goals, and overcome challenges, creating a more positive and productive environment, right? And so think of the world we would have if everybody was changed their perspective and always looked at it, instead of, why is this happening to me, that it happened for me, and we inspired others and we paid it forward, and we genuinely cared about people, and we just love people right where we are. Can you imagine the world we would live in, right? So to me, positivity never hurts. Spread positivity, by the way. She said that. So that's pretty much all she gave me, guys. Is anybody still on here with me? If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Jacqueline, I appreciate you staying with me so much, and all the likes tonight. Anybody got anything else they want to say or add? Anybody? I know you're still there. I've been watching. I appreciate that so much. Anybody got anything else they want to add to that? Or has anybody had a loss that they're working through, or anything? Need to vent about anything from your day or last week or anything? Anybody? Okay, well, I'm waiting to see if there's any comments. Veronica, hey girl. Thank you for the likes. I appreciate that. While I'm waiting, if you're not familiar, I do have a YouTube channel also. That's under Scorpio Medium. And so all my videos that you will find here, you'll find over there, except for I like to upload my lives over there. So if you you want to catch a live and you missed it, go check that out over there. Coming up on 1 year. Well, just breathe, right? And know that I'm here, right? If you need me, message me. I know it's still tough. Yeah, and it will be. It's going to be tough. I did move. I'm in California. I did. Yes, no more headboard. It's gone. Yeah. Thank you for the likes, Veronica, too. I appreciate that. So yeah, if you're not a subscriber over there, Scorpio Medium, I would love it if you subscribe. That'd be great. Trying to move forward. And you know what? It's just like everybody told me, sadly, it's one foot in front of the other. But it's kind of a long story, Veronica, so I won't go into it here, but I moved to be with somebody. I'll just put it that way. But yeah, moving forward isn't always easy, right? And for me, this move was the step that I needed to kind of close that book once and for all, right? 20 years of memories in South Dakota. The day I got in the car to leave, it was just like finally closing that chapter. Although, like I said, 32 years to me wasn't a chapter, it's a book. So just closing that book, once and for all, making that final step forward. Well, my daughter had moved out, and my job was seasonal and it was ending, and everything just kind of timed its way perfectly. So all my kids are still in South Dakota. They're there for each other. They have each other. They're all grown. So yeah. But yeah, so like I said, if you're not over on Scorpio Medium on YouTube, I would love it if you subscribed. If you are interested in a full reading, you can get that from me by going down into my bio and sending me an email. Those are $40. My new schedule will be, I'm here Monday through Thursday, same time, only I'm on 6:30. It says 7:30, so 6:30 Pacific time, 7:30 Mountain, 8:30 Central, and 9:30 Eastern time. Let's see. And we are going, if I can get a mod on Wednesdays, then we will do the mini reads still on Wednesdays. I did drive to Cali, which was a huge undertaking for me and my 3 pets in a car loaded. We drove to Cali. Yes. I have to say, I'm very proud of myself because, that is something I had never done. I had never, did something like that without my husband. So for me, that was, I took a long way because I wanted to avoid the mountains and all the snow. So I went way south and then came over. And so it was going to add about 7-8 hours. I think I slept like 3 hours in the car off and on, maybe 3.5, 4 tops, in 2 days, basically. Yeah. So, I think it ended up being, cause I got here at like 10 p.m. and I had left at like 2 p.m. the day before. And like I said, I got maybe between 3 and 4 hours of sleep. I just kind of pulled off on an off ramp at night and just kind of slept for a little while. And then I felt like driving, I'd drive. And then if I felt tired, I just pulled over. So yeah, thank you. I appreciate that very, very much. I appreciate that. And then let's see, last but not least, doing my content does take time. So if you would like to leave me a tip, I also have a Venmo down in my bio. I would greatly appreciate that. Never expected, but greatly appreciated. And then I feel like I'm forgetting something. What is that? Let's see. I got the time, my YouTube channel. If you want a reading, yeah, Venmo. I think I covered everything. Does anybody else have anything else they want to say or need to chat about? Anybody? No, I'm working on that right now. But I do a lot of sewing things too. So I'm making bandanas to take. It's like back in South Dakota, so I do dog collar bandanas. And so I sell them at a vet clinic. So I have that coming in. And then I've been sewing while I've been applying for jobs to take to like pet stores and stuff like that. So I'll have an income there too. So, and then my readings and yeah. So, but anyway, well, I don't have my phone on a charger because the charger I hooked up didn't work. And I'm not quite to an hour here, but I don't have anything left. So if nobody else has anything else tonight, thank you for the likes. I appreciate that so much. Going once, anybody? Going twice? Okay, well, if nobody else has anything, excuse me, I will be back here tomorrow night at 6:30 Pacific, 7:30 Mountain, 8:30 Central, and 9:30 Eastern time. I hope y'all have a great night. Remember to make tomorrow great because it is a choice. And I'll be back tomorrow at 6:30 until we meet again.